All right. Well, welcome everyone. This is Dr. Horacio Maldonado with All Things Leadership. We're super excited today to welcome a special guest, Mr. Freddy Salazar today. And hey, we're going to talk about leadership and anything that drives it, anything that moves it, anything that inspires it. So we're pretty excited about what we're going to have today. And our guest, Freddy Salazar, a little bit about him, just to make sure how awesome this person is. He's a Marine, so we're going to I'm Navy, so we're going to keep it real, right? So he's a Marine Corps veteran with extensive leadership experience managing operations, personnel, and administrative process. He's a dedicated advocate for veterans, guiding through the VA benefits, whole health services, and community resources like Wounded Warrior Project, Wounded Warrior Family Support, and the Home Depot Foundation, just to list a few. He's a current supervisor at the VA Valley Coastal Bend Healthcare System Whole Health Program, leading outreaches and support initiatives to improve the lives of veterans and their families. Freddie, welcome to our channel. We appreciate your time, brother.
Thank you, Dr. Maldonado. I appreciate the opportunity to shoot the shop, right?
Hey, that's what we do, man. So, I've known Freddie for a minute now. When I first started working with TVC, we were relocating from the Valley to Lubbock, and he was one of the persons that I was talked to. Actually, instrumental to me acquiring the job that I no longer have, but I really appreciate that, man. So I know Freddie's mindset on it, so I'm pretty excited. And just going to talk a little bit about just leadership, right? How it really affects a lot of people. And, me and you have talked in the past about like military discipline, accountability. How do you think that really improves in the private sector? Do you think the military it affects the military leadership in the culture of today in the private sector? What do we bring to the table
hmm
from the military?
I think first it's we have to identify that the military disciplines like a clear standard, right? A consistency and personal responsibility, right? So when you apply that to the private sector, it creates a sense of understanding and a culture of the expectations of what is expected by an employer, right? There's transparency, and that allows that for deadlines to be met in a timely manner. Everyone is held accountable for the outcomes that they're wanting to have in whatever particular job they're in, right? So this strengthens the trust across the teams, um, drives a higher performance outcome without needing to necessarily micromanage. So in a sense, also brings a relief to that supervisor to say, I got this military service member, now a veteran, brings that set of standards, and it's a sigh of relief for that supervisor.
Yeah, no, definitely. I appreciate you saying that. Do you believe that they think that they think that we were held accountable differently that how we're held accountable in the private sector from your experience?
I believe it might be a little bit more lax, but I believe because we're so structured, our structure actually helps us to maybe maintain a new standard. The standard might be a little bit different in that private sector, but that service member that comes in can set the standard for everybody else. And maybe also potentially assist that supervisor to say, hey, okay, we can improve. This is how we can improve that. So I think they can bring in their own set of standard and make that the bar.
Yeah, no, definitely. And you're right. During my research when I was working on my doctorate, I was really focusing on the leadership styles for transition service members going into the private sector and, all these senior ranking, either junior officers, senior officers, the expectation like, well, I've led hundreds of people. It should be easy day for me to go into an organization, they start barking some orders, start doing this, start doing that. And something that reality checks like, well, hold on. Yeah, I know you were like this badass up in the Marines and you did all this, that's great, but I don't think and I thought that same way too after 24 years. I thought, well, it should be a smooth transition over, right? It's talking to people, right? Well, the answer was badly no when I retired. It's just the expectation was different, right?
hmm
So, I've used a lot of my research to try to prepare those junior officers or senior officers, the E7 through E9, especially within my area, is it's not what is expected, and civilian leadership is not the same as military leadership. And I think, and you just said the perfect statement right now. We're so organized, we're so structured in how we want, even like now. I'm very structured, I'm very organized, and I'm like, man, it's not that bad, it's not that serious, right? But after so long in uniform, you get used to that structure, right? You get
Hmm.
so yeah, no, I'm with you. I appreciate it. So
Hmm.
the let me ask you this. So how does empowering junior leaders in the military increase agility, and how can this work in business in the private sector?
So I truly think that the military trains and trusts junior leaders, right, to make these decisions quickly with clear intent and which speeds up our responses on the ground. We don't take in consideration these junior leaders are 18, 19 years at the time.
Yeah,
They're fresh out of high school,
yeah,
most of there's two routes, right? Usually there's two routes. You go to the military, you go to college.
yeah,
Two different dynamics, right? And like I said, making quick decisions and a clear intent do it, speeds up responses on the ground, right? And in the business, um, given that mid-level managers or frontline supervisors, similar um, autonomy, right, allows organizations to adapt faster to customer needs, right, and marketing changes. So it also builds leadership pipelines by developing problem solvers pretty much
yeah.
at every level.
Yeah, which is yeah, it's true. You mentioned mid-level managers. Is there a specific from your experience and what you think you think there's a specific pay grade that would match like a mid-level manager? So the reason I say that, I used
Mhm,
to work for Family Endeavors out of Harlingen,
mhm,
working for homeless veterans, and we had this gentleman. He was a Marine, no, an Air Force captain. I'm not really sure what the E something on the whole Air Force captain, right? But they made him a manager, and he failed miserably, man. And I had the opportunity to talk to him, after work about something, and I was just talking to him, and he was like really lost. He goes, man, I only been in the Air Force like about 5 years, man, and I got sped up in my promotion because my dad was some high-ranking general, and so and he felt bad because he feels that he wasn't prepared adequately
mhm.
in that officer mode, like we think in the Navy, an officer will. My job as an E7 was to train the ensign and the JG, and then after that we let them go to the department head level, right? So does it really matter? Do you think it matters the pay grade and what they're going to do in the private sector?
I think that plays a big part in that. Um, when you said yeah that individual, that officer got into a role, and it was kind of like a culture shock because they were just moved up through those ranks because of who they knew. And I want to think that's not the norm, right? I want to think that that's not doesn't happen all the time. In the Marine Corps, as a junior Marine going through the ranks, becoming an NCO, they send you to corporal's course, sergeant's course, uh,
Mhm.
senior NCO course, staff NCO course, and all those things, right? So they prepare you, and there's, I guess, criterias in a sense that have to probably be met, right? So
Yeah.
I think the compensation part, or the level, it does play some sort of factor, but it's kind of cool in the federal side. You can go online and look at GS, let's say GS 7, and it'll tell you it's equivalent to a lieutenant, it's equivalent to a staff sergeant.
Yeah.
So to have an understanding of where you potentially could be coming into on the role,
Hmm.
so it's actually kind of cool to see that,
Yeah.
so yeah.
Yeah, and that's interesting you said that, Freddie, because I had applied for a position in Temple,
Hmm.
right? And it was a GS 10, right? And man, the guy called me back, and at least he was honest, man. He's like, "Hey, so what was your pay grade? When I was, retired as an E8, he's like, oh, okay." That was like the worst, oh, okay, ever, man, right? Well, interesting you say that because that same day, one of the coworkers there at the VA showed me that thing you're talking about that broke down like GS 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, then it equals their pay grade. I'm like, Oh my God, dude. No, like I was probably thinking I was this like general or Navy captain or something. I'm like, hold on, bro, I was enlisted, baby. I'm not gonna go all that. But I like that because I don't think a lot of people know that, Freddie, that how you can find out because the I got a GS9 here at the VA. The guy's like, oh man, dude, I don't know if I can make it. I don't meet the requirements. And I'm like, what's a requirement? Good Lord. So yeah, no, I got you, man. That's
Hmm.
one of the biggest, hardest, I believe, in my experience working with transgender veterans is the expectation. You know, when I interviewed Mr. Palladino, man, that guy was like, he had all this. He's he's good, man. He
Yeah. Oh yeah.
he was gave
Mr.
me a couple of examples, right? And then during my research, I interviewed him again, and he said the most interesting thing to me, Fred. I want to share with you, man, and share with everybody. He goes, just because you served, whether you served 4 or 30 or 50 years, I don't care. He goes, the private sector does not have to hire you just because you're a veteran, right? So I'm like, well, let's talk about it. We spent 3 hours talking
Wow.
about this. I'm going, but that kind of changed a lot of the perspectives and what people think, because I had interviewed a couple of Marine senior officers and then senior enlisted for all branches of service, and each one had their, I met an Army colonel. And he was like, "Oh, no, I only applying for CEO, CFO, anything with a C on it." I'm going, bro, I don't know, man. You might just qualify for Home Depot or something, dude. So it's just the expectation. So, it's interesting you say that because now I'm like, I heard that before. So, jumping into the next one. So, how can resilience learned in the military help business leaders handle uncertainty and change? I'm more focused, Freddie, on the change.
Hmm.
Um, how do we deal as military leaders into the private sector when it involves change?
I feel as service members, right, we develop the whole mental toughness and adaptability, right, with what we do, we're working in,
Yeah.
um, and working with unpredictable environments. You know, I mean,
Mhm.
it's happens, right? So, um, and then resilience enables leaders to stay calm under the pressure. We can assess situations, um, and make decisions, even when information is not necessarily complete, right? And that allows us to make that transition, right? And in business, right, those same qualities help leaders guide teams through whether it's crisis, whether they need to pivot on some changes, and without losing focus on the mission, right?
Mhm.
Or morale, because you know the approach. I'll share with you the approach that I had in the Marine Corps. I still follow that approach today. And we all learn it. Two things: mission accomplishment, troop welfare.
Yeah.
And so I have that same approach, right? Um, and you said uncertainty and change. You talked about Mr. P's statement when you said that. That resonated with me because when
Mhm.
I first got out of the Marine Corps, I lived in DC, and I was like, I'm a vet. I should get a job right away.
In
And
DC.
it's not easy, and truth be told, they 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 appreciate your service, but that's the extent of it. You still
Mhm.
got to go interview. You still got to go kill it yourself and
Yeah.
put forth that effort, right? And I think all the tools that we learned in the military allow us to be resilient with whatever obstacle was put in front of us and the changes that are being made. I don't want to get too personal, but I'll share a quick story about me when I was in the Marine Corps and I got out. I had some pretty difficult times where I went through a relationship to
Mhm.
the point where it made me homeless, and so I was homeless for 3 weeks, living in a shelter home, while at the time I was working for State Department. I still remember to this day I had 3 shirts, 2 pants, and a pair of boots,
Yeah.
and I had to be resilient in those moments, because in that moment, I didn't have the resources, right? The resources that we have now for our veterans, right? I didn't have that. And
Yeah.
I stuck through it. I kept going to work. I finally got out of it.
Hmm.
And, I continue to have those pillars of mission accomplishment, troop welfare
Hmm.
in these roles that I'm at now. Is like, you stated that I'm a supervisor with the VAs for the whole health program. I have a staff of 13 individuals, and there's always changes. Changes are being made left and right. Just yesterday, I got additional duty that was added to me that was
Yeah.
changing, and I utilize those skills that, even though I've been out for so many years now, I still have that pedigree. I still
Hmm.
have that mentality. So again, mission accomplishment to welfare. And sometimes the mission doesn't take a back seat, but it goes to the side of the troop to make sure that your staff is good to go. And so again, that goes back to the morale of the staff is not lost while the
Hmm.
focus is still on the mission.
Yeah, exactly.
So,
And it's such a true, man. And I want to touch on two things. One, uh, I have a similar situation with that when I retired. I was homeless for like about a month and a half. So, brother, I know exactly what you're talking about, man. I was from having it here to having nothing, man. I was in Virginia, so it not that people know about it, for now, I guess a lot of people are gonna find out. But and you're so correct, Fred, in making that statement that the programs that we have now, they were not back then well, it was back in 2013,
mhm,
2012, I'm sorry. So, man, I mean, we are so blessed now that there's so many programs available. It's not funny. I leaned on the Navy Marine Corps Relief Society, right, to help me out. And I was so embarrassed, of course, the whole pride thing, right? I went and talked to the counselor, and she was, "You have been given to this program for 22 years. It's our turn to take care of you." Dude, I don't want to get emotional, dude, but hearing that, dude, I mean, it's like, what do you do? Like, what do you say from that, right? Like,
yeah,
so they helped me out, man, and after that, it made my mission to just to help others, and I just want to share that with you because
yeah.
I really appreciate you saying that too, Freddie. I know that it means a lot. I want to touch a little bit on what you said, the troop welfare, man. I know in the Navy we had sailor first, that part of the same mentality. I like your approach in how you command that statement and how you are currently putting them first, because
Mhm,
if they are not working well, if they're not okay mentally, physically, psychologically, everything, right? Not sure, right? The end result's going to be seen at the workplace with you, right? And I like that approach that, sometimes the mission is going to have to take a step back, but the troop welfare, I like that statement, but I wrote it down here because I might even write it in one of my articles. And I'll put your name, just this eyes. I don't want to take anything away from you.
no, you're good, brother.
But it's a very important concept, because not everybody puts the troop first, the troop warfare or the sailor first mentality. Like, oh, the missions first, right? Just, I mean, after 24 years, the Navy was all about mission first, mission first. Hey, you have feelings, put them to the side. Mission, 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 right? When I made chief, when I put that anchor on, man, okay, I made it my sole goal, bro, for the remainder of my time in the military to take care of my troops, dude.
Hmm.
Right? And sometimes they took me taking a crap pie to the face at the wardroom with the officers, but I was gonna protect those guys because those guys got me where I was at that moment, right? So my great mentors in the past are like, hey, those guys put you in khakis, man, right?
Yeah.
So I always made that extra effort to protect them, whether they did not know how to protect themselves, and but I always had the chief moment with them, like, guys, listen to me. When I was your age, when I was your pay grade, I was going to go to mass. I went to mass like so many times. It wasn't even funny, bro. Okay. But this is what I
Mhm.
learned, and I don't want you to make those mistakes. I think and you have that same mindset to ensure that the whole troop warfare really just flows through, because you don't want to make some mistakes, right? So,
Oh.
yeah.
Yeah, no, and I tell them, my team, I said, my doors, you always hear the statement, my doors is always open. You
Yeah.
need something. Well, I tell you, when I was a junior Marine, my door's always open. I didn't realize it until I got in trouble.
Yeah.
And then I realized that Gunny, his name's, he's retired now, I'm sure, but Gunny Gibbs, he took me under his wing and pretty much groomed me to be the Marine that I became,
Hmm.
and is instrumental in the way that I am now and how I take care of my I say troops, but my
Yeah.
staff, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, we work with HCAD. I had several mentors from Mr. Gary Lee, from Miss Megan Temez, and so I still talk to Miss Temez quite
Yeah.
often. She's a great mentor for me, and I need to bounce things off of her and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I think it's similar mindsets, right? Similar mindsets of ensuring that, yes, the mission gets done, but also the troops are getting taken care of, the folks are getting taken care of. And I think it's a relief for some of my staff. When I came on, I've been on this job for over 2 years now. And when I came on, I sat down and got a chance to know people, and they kind of were like, well, what are we doing here? It's like, well, I'm learning about you. I want to learn what makes you tick. If you need something, how can I help you? How can I support you? And
Mhm.
staff has been very appreciative of that, right?
Yeah.
So, and I tell them, I was like you said, if if you're not right mentally, physically, spiritually, whatever it may be, is the individual. If you're not right, then it impacts our mission,
Yeah.
right? And at the end of the day, the recognition, I always give recognition to my staff, because I give them orders in a sense, or things to do, and they have to carry that out. There's metrics that we have to meet. And I'm happy to say that for the last 2 years that I've been on with Whole Health, we've met our metrics and then some, 2 to 3 months prior to the end of the fiscal year. So,
Yeah.
that's just a testament of their success and their hard work. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I appreciate saying that because at the end of the day, it's about them, right? It's the people that we surround ourselves with, and having those great influences. Yeah, I talked to Miss Thomas, too. I keep in touch with her too, and I've had numerous contacts with Mr. Lee, Mr. Palladino, because I was in employment before. So like I like the surround us with people that have that influence piece with me.
Mhm.
Um, and it's important because you always learn something from them. What attracts other people that have good influence, you want to be able to see what they do and then see how it works for you and how you can make your own personal spin to it. A lot of my clients that I talk to, Freddie, and they manage 500,000 people, right? The most simplest thing, they're like, what I should, dude, how do I get my people to kind of listen to me? And I'm like, excuse me? I said, what do you mean? And I'm my approach to when I do my consulting, when I do it's I'm gonna give you the brutal truth because that's what you need to hear. I'm not gonna give you this whole because I don't care who you are, right? So
Mhm.
the guy was asking me this question, and I said, man, this is not working. And I said, can you do me a big favor? And he's like, sure. And I have just like me and you, like when you're talking to Zoom, right? And then I said, is there a mirror that you have like laying around somewhere? Or you know what? Do me a favor, get your phone, open up the camera. The guy was doing it, like Freddie. The guy was like, right?
Yeah.
He said, and I want you to put the camera towards you. He goes, okay. He goes, there's your problem. Talk about and he did not like that statement. He did not like that approach. He did not like that reality, right? And then I
Mhm.
said, you're only as good as your team, dude. Simple as that. If something is not working, you're not asking the right questions. Okay. If your team is, all over the place, guess what, man? Everything starts with you. It's like, oh my God. It's like, well, man, you're gonna be such a butthead about it. I'm going, no, hey, you're paying me this much money for an hour. I'm gonna tell you what it is. I don't want you spending more money. But in the day, it's not about the money, it's about the impact that we make on others. So,
Yeah.
um, Freddie, I'm gonna ask you this off question because I do it to all my guests. So just let you know. Yeah, you can be good under pressure, brother. I know you. So what is one advice that you would give to other managers or supervisors on how they can motivate and inspire their teams to be more effective from your experience? What's a good advice from Freddie that they all need to know? Because trust me, they're gonna find this out.
The first thing that comes to mind is to try to find a course that will allow you to figure out what is your leadership style, because you might find out that what you're doing might not be right, and you'll be able to learn from additional type of leadership styles. I had a very I was the hammer to the nail. I was black and white, fresh out of the Marine Corps.
Yeah.
And as we know, as we get on transition and now into this what I am now,
Hmm.
I have a servanthood, empathetic leadership mentality. So there's gray to the before the white to the black. There's some gray shades of gray.
Yeah.
So finding out your type of leadership style, and trying, if you can, try to get that empathetic approach, because I mean, truth be told, it's not the military, right? We're not in the military anymore, and we have to kind of adapt to the changes. So I think the biggest thing for me, for another manager, is find out what is your true leadership style.
Hmm. I like that, man. Finding what you, because everybody's different, right? Everybody leads differently. Everybody's approach is differently,
Hmm.
And it's just important. I really appreciate your time. Mr. Freddie, thank you very much for your time, brother. I know you're a busy man. Thank you for spending some time with us in our YouTube channel, All Things Leadership. We definitely appreciate all your knowledge, everything you're doing. Continue doing what you do with Home Health, man. I've known you. You're a great individual, man. And, thank you for your service, but everything that you do is definitely appreciated, brother, man. So I really want to take your time and thank you for being with us today, man.
Hey, thank you, Dr. Malo. I really appreciate it. Always working with you. But I mean, you were one of the first individuals I met when I came on to TVC back in the day. So
There
really
you go.
great to see, where you're at now and the successes and the future endeavors that you'll have as well. So thank you for the opportunity.
No, I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much. And everybody, thank you very much for joining us on this All Things Leadership YouTube channel. Follow us, subscribe, come in here. Freddie's story is an awesome time and definitely looking forward to you guys the next time. You guys have a good one.